Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to see what you guys got.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Where are you originally from, Jeremy, and where are you coming out of at the moment?
Well, originally from California, and I came out to Vegas to go to school when I was 17. I came out for college, and I just fell in love with the way the city flows and all the business opportunities. So here I am, and trying to build my little empire out here.
Nice, brother. A lot of people are going out there to Vegas, especially right now. You know, things are getting so expensive in Cali. You go to Vegas, you can get a palace out there.
I mean, the housing market's kind of caught up. I mean, like, I bought a nice property for about $700,000 2 years ago, and it's already at $1 million right now. But I mean, I think housing-wise, it's not as expensive as California, but it's comparable to like Miami. I mean, it's up there. And I think what's happened is so many people were frustrated with, California, Arizona, whatever, came out here. So we're having like a little bit of traffic these days, but to be honest, the more people, the more opportunities. And that's what I'm all about, is like, how do you connect the perfect dots to make the biggest impact?
Right. And I'm sure you're someone who knows that at the end of the day, it really comes down to just right place, right time, putting yourself in that position to be ready to do it. There's no magic behind this stuff. It's as real as it gets.
Yeah. And that's my main company is Strong Positions. And that's the S and the P. Pretty much my specialty is teaching people how to build the strongest possible position for the win. Because in life, you can't control whether you win or lose, like I happen to be in a good right spot, right time. The main thing is this: since you can't control whether you win or lose, all you can control is, did I put myself in the best possible position for the win? And that's what it means. Like, when you're at the right time, right to the right time, it means that you're ready for your opportunities. Where most people, they're consumed with false pride, they're distracted, they're focused on what other people are doing rather than building their core strength, their relationships, so that they finally can be at the right, ready for their opportunities. When the time hits, that's when you do the max. So,
where did you start to notice this stuff, Jeremy? Was it in yourself? Was it in other people? Where did you start to notice that people were sort of doing things wrong, Jeremy? Was it you along your lines of your journey? Naturally, we correct ourselves. Was it in other people? Where did this all start?
Yeah, so I feel like for me, my ADHD was just through the roof at a young age. So most of my high school and college days were just kind of a blur. So I really wasn't paying attention to other people. You can obviously feel when people make mistakes. But when my eyes actually open, I would say that was in prison. I've done about a decade of my life in prison, and I was in high security prison not because of my crimes. I did like mainly DUIs and stuff, but my behavior inside, because just like here with like BLM movements and whatnot, like there can be a movement where everybody is now like kind of subject to how that movement's going. And that was the thing in prison. In prison, you get people acting out or making a scene, and it would affect the program of everybody. So when I was in prison is when I started to really pay attention to how people affect their path and the path of others. And I was in a situation where I didn't fit in at all. I was a petty criminal. I was Jewish. I had like a decent upbringing. I didn't fit in at all. So what I did to survive, but actually thrive in prison was, my eyes opened up and I paid attention to my every single word, my every tone, and how I affected the people around me, understanding that the only way to really succeed is to bring everybody up with you.
Very nice, very nice. That's a journey right there. Land yourself in the cell, and you had no choice. This was not a 30-day course. This was rise or sink or swim. Wow. So you chose to swim instead of sink when you were in this uncomfortable position, Jeremy.
Yeah. What I've learned in life is especially because I didn't just get sentenced to prison. They sentenced me to like probation, rehab. So I'm going through all these state programs, and I even went to a private rehab, and I'm dealing with these therapists. And it's just tripping me the fuck out because I'm realizing most of these people in authority, are more fucked up than I am. And so, God forbid, like when I'm actually in prison, I'm like, hold on, I got these people trying to tell me what to do and what's best. It's like, I couldn't listen to anybody. I knew what a successful result was. And I just paid attention to like, if everything went just right, if I really built these conditions and relationships and put in the time, then I could achieve these, miraculous goals. And I don't know why else we're alive. I mean, don't you want to thrive to your success? No one's going to give it to you.
Can we take a few steps back, Jeremy? I see. Right? Did you not want this for yourself? At what point did you start to go off the rails? You were always an outsider. Was it just something? Where was this?
I would just say it's the ADHD. Blissfully enough, I lived in this world where I just wasn't really paying attention to anything else except like what I was working on. So it just allowed me to experience success that maybe other people were, definitely not used to, but not comfortable with that process. Like even to this day, like I'll go, I'm more comfortable talking to a group of women, like when I'm out, and everyone's like really intimidated by that process. But for me, I just kind of always jumped into things and then kind of figure it out when I'm in the middle of it. And so even when I was younger, I didn't realize what I was doing or how I was doing it. I just always appreciated the end result. So I just kind of built a career out of like, not really listening to too many people because I already know I have a different way of doing it. And I've learned that if you put in the right effort into building a position and do your research and bring in the right people, you're going to experience massive success. So I would say I've culminated a long-term ability to really harness my own path because, like I said, no one is ever going to give you the success. You've got to take it.
Sounds like you had some natural, you were more drawn to the dangerous aspect of what would happen in this situation. And that's a huge thing in life, right? A lot of people are met with do it or don't do it. And you sort of see a lot of people just do the walk of shame and not do this. Sounds like with you got some addiction to just saying, you know what, let's just do it and then see where it goes. Maneuver the right way so that it works optimally, but
that's really good insight. I appreciate that feedback. So absolutely, that's like my superpower. My superpower and what I try to give to everybody is like, you have to learn to embrace confrontation. You have to engage in life. Most people are so afraid of what happens when they confront something and it creates this life of being passive or passive aggressive, or worse off, just being aggressive. But the real key is being assertive, is that mutual respect, is being fearless in your pursuit of doing what's right, defending and building your position. And how many times you got to get into a fight and afterwards be like, well, still got my eyes, my hands, my body, like, I'm fine. It may not have felt good, but it's like, you don't have to be afraid of this process where you stand up for yourself. And again, most people just kind of want to go with the flow in life because it's more comfortable. And it's like, hey, if you're comfortable living on their path and what they want for you, then you're part of the wrong group. For me, like what I teach is like taking control of your path. Learn to be more assertive, learn to embrace those confrontations and fight for your positions so that you can bring other people along that journey with you, because that's all we have in life. Be fruitful and multiply.
This stuff can be applied everywhere, Jeremy. This is a thought process that you've sort of mastered and you follow, that people can apply even in business. If you work in door-to-door sales, phone sales. I work in financial services, so if you're a guy that doesn't pick up that phone, you're afraid to do stuff, you're not going to get anywhere in life. If you want to be your own boss, if you want to find a way to produce for yourself, you need to be a lot of those things you were saying. You said assertive, you got to be willing to do what's most uncomfortable, not what's comfortable, right? It's all the easy stuff that's easy to get is right in front of you. What do they call it? Low hanging fruit, right? If you want the stuff that's worth getting, it's going to take a lot of the stuff you're talking about right here.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
now.
there's a key difference between like surviving and thriving. There's a key difference between being part of a group and leading a group. And just like in management, like I learned it's pretty easy to hire people, but like firing, have you fired somebody? I mean, are you even good at that? Like, are you comfortable with that? It's a totally different set of circumstances when you are leading people's path. And so that's what I teach is how do you build your core strength so that even when you're brand new to a group, what are the things you do every day to like work your way into the group and then kind of fit in but stand out? And then once you kind of have that respect of like, hey, you're a strong group, how do you turn that into thriving into leadership and really controlling groups and learning to bring people up with you? And that's what I teach about in Prison to Penthouse. So yeah, all the things you're talking about: being more assertive, getting good at no, learning how to make people respect their time, and focusing on ideas versus stories. Most people, they just want to talk about that cheap comfort right in front of them. Weather, sports, gossip. And it's like, all this does nothing for our journey to like leading other people, So,
So you think being assertive, that stuff eliminates all, a lot of people say, I'll be with someone for an hour, hear about their whole life. You say, let's make it all about the job, the occupation at hand, and let's handle that as straightforward as possible, right? You try to eliminate a lot of the fuzz. It's not, you like to keep it pretty straightforward, take care of business. Not really, not that you're not trying to not make friends, but it's better if you keep the friends and business side of things pretty close and get the job done in the right way.
I mean,
right?
it's not far off from what you're saying, but let me rephrase it like this. So I'm a huge believer in being lighthearted and playful. So like I have best friends, I have a lot of very successful friends and we're guys and we call each other and it's like 98% just maximum disrespect, like really talking shit on like your biggest weakness to just kind of shake you up. And at the end, it's like, okay, cool. I'll see you at 6. All right, bye. It's like people, like death is serious. Everything else should be like lighthearted and playful. If you have a job to do, that's one thing. But for the most part, like when people enjoy your company, you're going to tend to get more of their time. And so that's a lot of what I talk about when you're assimilating into a group is, how do you make people enjoy your time? Chapter 33 of my first book is Stabbing with Humor. I have just watched guys that were total fucking losers in prison. Like horrible, add nothing except they're funny. Like they're funny and people like their time and they get brought up to like damn near the top. And so
humor is a very powerful tool.
Absolutely. So that's the main thing. How are we forming these relationships? How are we making sure they're deep relationships? Because most people, it's just chit chat. It's just, I'm connected. I know a lot of people. Dude, you don't want to have connections. You want to have family deep connections. You want to have brothers willing to fight and die for you. And when you have a amount of that, that's when life becomes effortless. When everybody's just trying to make your life better,
Right. People get caught up in meeting all these other 1,000 people, all these interactions, and they're not worth squat most of the time, right? When it comes to the quality, not quantity, when it comes with you, Jeremy.
Yeah, hey, if you can do both, though, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's where that's where the magic is, and that's where your superpower comes in.
Like one of the things I'll do, like when I'm randomly meeting people, like 'cause I live in a high rise, for example, I'll be in a lobby. And I make sure that if I'm having a quick interaction with somebody, it's not like, did you see the game last night? Or like, oh my God, it's so hot outside. None of that is going to tell me anything about what drives this person to the top. What really is their passion and what are their gifts? So that I can kind of track all these things and connect people. And that's really what I do. I've learned that in the process of building up everybody around you, you will rise even higher effortlessly. Whereas most people, it's always competitive. Like, well, if I help him out and give him this, that's going to keep me down here. But that's why my book is really about building your core strength, learning how to add value to other people, becoming more assertive, getting good at no. All these fundamental skills. I tell people, I'm so good at no that you're likely to appreciate me and my no more than them and their yes. Because what people really want at the end of the day is they want strength. I have a lot of friends with a lot of wealth and success and celebrity status, right? And they don't care about like, oh, you got a cool car or like that you're a fangirl of theirs. That's not what they really want is they want people around them that have the power to validate them. For example, like if you're going on the street and some hobo's like, hey man, I like your hair, Okay, cool. But what if it's like your fucking celebrity like crush is like, oh my God, your hair looks amazing. That same message is going to mean everything to you. So the power to validate people is huge in thriving in leadership and being somebody that can take people to their dreams and empower them.
Be a person of value, not just an ass kisser. I don't know other way to put it. Now, how much of this is intuitive, Jeremy? Or how many questions are you asking? It sounds like you're making a lot of calculations really quickly. You see what's good in someone, you see how to put them in the right position to help, and you see that in that, the relationship will be brought into fruition in the most ideal way possible. How can I help this person? And that's how you lead.
You're asking me
when you're making interactions with people, are you doing a lot of question asking, or are you someone who a lot of it is intuitive?
I'm more about, there's always some interaction, but like, I think for me, the one thing I need in a person is I need someone that's disciplined. They don't have to be like successful yet, but they have to have the foundation for success if I'm going to spend time with them. One thing you'll notice as you're rising through success is that, most people are fundamentally weak. Most people are more focused on, like I said, that competition factor, you versus them. And because they're not happy for themselves, they're never going to be able to be happy for you. And so for me, I know that like where I like to connect people and also monetize those connections. If I'm making things happen, I'm getting my little piece, But like I said, the best thing people can do is build a team. Build a group of great people that you can offload information and borrow gifts and whatnot. And everybody should be giving you their best all the time. One of the things I do to build business fast is I have a really great circle of people that are credible so I can quickly process ideas with them. And that allows me to kind of maneuver into a position of extreme success quickly. So, yeah, I think there's two different things. A, I like to have a Rolodex of just kind of understanding what moves people so I know how to monetize. And B, picking your own good team so that together you guys can do, your best being always ahead.
How much of your operation is in person, Jeremy? How much of it is online today with the digital age, especially right here, right now, today? Everything's shifting. How much of this are you bringing onto the internet, and how much of this are you adapting with the digital age?
It's a good question. I would say, my businesses there's so many different ones. So, do I have any business that runs? So I have video courses, and those are digital, but for the most part, most of my business and monetization and outreach is done in person.
No, very nice. I asked Jeremy because I'm just asking for you look like a guy that would think about this stuff and have. I asked for the audience to extract this information, and I think they would want to know that stuff. But it sounds like you're a guy who, and as anybody else knows, you're not going to get a better result than meeting someone face to face or direct. Really, there's no better way to do it. Very nice, Jeremy. So what's next moving forward for you? The year just started. What are you implementing? Is there anything new you implemented into the year? Are you still going with where you left off at the end of the year?
Awesome. I got friends that do, 9 figures a year. Everybody talks, right? So you're constantly going through life. You're on social media, and you always are like, man, this person's got this going on. And I just heard they're making this and making that. What I've learned is this. If you actually can get a hustle where you're in control of your path and you're earning and burning, you're feeling good, right? Don't compare what you have and what you make to other people, because what I learned in therapy through my many years of court-ordered therapy is there is no better. There is only different. And so people, for example, are like, oh my God, prison must have sucked, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, man, you live in a world where you put your clothes outside the door, they bring them back clean. They hand deliver your food 2-3 times a day. Utilities are free. They provide everything you need. So it's a trade-off. Homeless people, you can think, oh man, well, poor guy, It's like, oh man, this guy has 0 obligations. And I only know this because I lived in prison. And out of my last 5 cellmates, 3 were homeless. They don't have that stress that we have. They may not have a car yet, or a car at all, but it all balances out. So as far as me and my path moving forward, I just focus on my freaking hustle. I mean, I'm 38 years old, so I have a good amount of them, and I have enough people in my life I look up to, so I'm constantly absorbing new opportunities. But my year ahead is focusing on my grind, because it gives me control of my time. It gives me a feel-good feeling of being able to help others. And although, I do well, but I don't do as much money as other people. And I'm okay with that. So this year ahead, just kind of building out my existing platforms, medical finance, building the injury law firms, selling more books, getting on more podcasts. That's my year ahead.
Very nice, very nice. I think this is exactly what people need to be hearing, Jeremy. You're a guy who's been through the meat grinder. You're not a guy who's just, you're not in your early 20s, just fresh out of, you've been through some stuff. You've seen a lot of stuff. It's a good time people can take from this stuff, and then they see you here today. You're not comparing yourself to anybody. You're not. A lot of people do that. You got to get off the Instagram, off of that. A lot of people lose opportunities with all that. I bet if you can, I don't check how often I try to stay off of it, but a lot of people, if you rack up the hours, they're probably spending 16 hours on social, and then the other 8 probably sleeping. So if you can
yeah, no, just you're making a huge point. So basically the conclusion to my book, it compares the difference between pleasure and joy. And basically what it accounts for is like how we obtain our happiness. And what it shows you is most people obtain their happiness through consuming things outside of them. They take something from the outside world, they bring it in to make them happy. And they're so focused on consumption, and that's cheap. What you want to do is spend more time creating your core strength, creating your own joy, that you have the superpower of giving happiness to other people. And I understand the pleasure of social media, but I intentionally try to follow very few people, because I don't want to get stuck and obligated looking at all these things that don't affect my life. And most people kind of walk away from social media not feeling great. Most people aren't really happy. They go on social media and they think, oh my God, all these people, they're living this amazing life and blah, blah, blah. And they're really not. It's the same thing with the currency issue and the dollar amounts, and like inflation. You can print all this money, but it's the same. It still looks the exact same, like the same people, proportionally the same amount. When it comes to social media, we didn't just get this huge percentage of people with these amazing lives. What we got was the ability to edit what you see. And if you're basing your happiness, comparing yourself to how people edit, their content to make you feel some type of way, it's embarrassing. Get the fuck off. Put this time into learning, into surrounding yourself with people that have things you want. Learn how to add value to their lives. Learn how to be respectful of their time, so you're never overstepping. You leave people of means with like a good interaction with you, or a good feeling, and they're going to want more of your time. And then you accumulate the time of credible people, and it's only a matter of effort until you get your great opportunities. So stop consuming. Get the fuck off social media. Exactly.
Very nice. Very nice, Jeremy. Well, how can people connect with you, Jeremy? How can people find you, get linked up with you?
You go to my Instagram, Legal QS. Legal question solution. So Legal QS. That's my Instagram. Strongpositions.com. JeremySigal.com. So I've got a couple books, Prison to Penthouse, which will show you how to rise to the top of a group. And it's not focused on this mindset shit. Everybody's selling mindset these days. My book's going to teach you things like I said, your core things. How do you get good at no? How do you learn to embrace confrontations? Adding value to people. Actually, a lot of it is confrontation stuff. So it's like, if you have an issue with somebody, like how do you pull them aside to like let them know what's up? All these core skills in rising in a group. I have another book, Breaking Up, Not Down, and this is for people that want to grow through their breakup. I've got a video course teaching men how to build depth into their dating, so that they can learn to properly engage women and get a date in just 1 or 2 messages. I've got my law firms, so mainly built around car accidents, but any type of injury when it's not your fault, call us. No one's going to provide a better service and result than we will. So, like I said, link up with me on Instagram at Legal Qs, and I just really want to thank you for having me on and supporting my message.
Thank you, Jeremy. We're going to attach all that onto the screen. You guys will know how to connect with him. Jeremy, it's been a great pleasure. Let's get you on again in the future if the time is right, when we can get you on.
And if you give me a heads up on what exactly you want your audience to hear, I'll go deep on that one thing. So guys, give this man some feedback on what you actually want. I'll bring in the right information. I'll bring in the right experts to make your life better every time.
All right, you guys. You see that? Find yourself the right people, and they'll help you out, you guys. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch up with you. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. It's been a great pleasure to have you on the show. We're good from here.
Mm-hmm.